Watch out for us. Well, our poll question out on ESPN Madison's Twitter poll again. Are Nick Boyd and John Blackwell the best Badgers since Sam Dekker and Frank Kaminsky? A resounding 91% so far say yes. And I wholeheartedly agree with this. There's so much swagger. There's so much confidence. I had a conversation in the media room yesterday, Riley, with I've been up in the press box, well up there, and I could see the smile. I could see the energy that Nick Boyd brings onto the court. But what I heard from the photographers down on courtside and baseline, Nick Boyd is the best trash talker I have ever heard on the court. That is word for word what a colleague had said to me. And there's something about the confidence that he brings. And then it's almost a yin and yang, if you will, with the energy and the electricity that Nick Boyd brings, the in-your-face mindset. But John Blackwell, though, too, he has a calm energy to him, but he's got the competitive spirit. It's almost like Tim Duncan in a way. I mean, granted, they're different styles of play, but it's more of how Tim Duncan was a very silent, quieter trash talker. He's not afraid to get in your face and get in your grill, but also show that his game could do the talking as well. A little bit of both. Yes.
He's sort of the silent but deadly one of the two. And Nick Boyd is sort of the brash, open, very in-your-face, sort of the front-facing of the two. Sort of like Frank Kaminsky. He was more of the front-facing member of the duo with Sam Dekker. Sam Dekker was a little bit more on, not even that he was very reserved, just that he didn't get as many of the headlines. Nick Boyd gets more of the headlines than John Blackwell does. And I think, to the question that we posed, they are decidedly the best Badgers duo since Sam Dekker and Frank Kaminsky, and you could argue statistically they're even better than Frank Kaminsky and Sam Dekker. Let's look at the numbers here. Let's crunch some numbers here real quick.
Hit me.
Nick Boyd, 20 points, 3.7 rebounds, 4.1 assists. John Blackwell, 18.8 points, 4.9 rebounds, 2.3 assists. Versus Frank Kaminsky, 18.8 points, matches John Blackwell, 8.2 rebounds, that tracks, and 2.6 assists. His numbers more closely align with John Blackwell's than Nick Boyd's. Then you have Sam Dekker, only 13.9 points, 5.5 rebounds, 1.2 assists. The obvious caveat, they ran a completely different offense. They were very slow. They didn't average nearly as many points or shoot nearly as many threes as this type of Badger team. But statistically, Boyd and Blackwell are better than Dekker and Kaminsky. So I think there is not even a question. Like, I guess Tanjay and Blackwell, you could consider. Their stats don't really add up. You got Johnny Davis, Brad Davison. Sorry, that doesn't really hold water. Bronson Koenig, Nigel Hayes, I think might be your best argument. But respectfully, neither of them were as dynamic. I think Koenig and Boyd have that similar clutch factor, which I love. But there's no other duo that really holds a candle to Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. And statistically, Nick Boyd and John Blackwell are better than Frank Kaminsky and Sam Dekker. And now I think if John Blackwell and Nick Boyd take this team to a Final Four, their legacy will be right up there with Frank Kaminsky and Sam Dekker. It'll be right there, right next to them.
844-770-3776. The Cardinals Talk and Text line list is more. We're asking you if Nick Boyd and John Blackwell are the best Badger basketball duo since Sam Dekker and Frank Kaminsky. Again, just about 92% of you say yes so far. And even in the comments here, Riley, I want to ask you what Jesse is saying here in the Twitter comments. Are they the best backcourt ever at Wisconsin? Let me ask you, being the Wisconsin Badger kid through and through, is this the best backcourt we've seen for the Wisconsin Badgers?
In my lifetime, yes, 100%. Sure, I don't know who the Robin to Jordan Taylor's Batman was.
Michael Jordan Taylor.
Exactly. So I don't know who was beside Michael Finley back in the day on those teams. But if we're talking from my once I became cognizant of my existence, there has not been a better backcourt duo in Wisconsin history than Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. I just ran you through a list of three. Tanjay and Blackwell, that's the closest, and that still includes John Blackwell.
That's within a season,
exactly.
Right?
That was last year. Brad Davison, I love him. I'm glad he's a coach. He wasn't a part of one. Vito Brown, he's maybe more of a forward, I guess. Bronson Koenig, that's the closest I can think of. Koenig and Showalter.
You would have loved to have seen what Johnny Davis and Chucky Hepburn could have been for an extra season, I'm sure. But, it is what it is.
Chucky wasn't up there. He wasn't nearly as productive as Blackwell was. Mm-hmm. I mean, Brust and Gosser. I think even Ben Brust would admit that him and Gosser aren't as good as Nick Boyd and John Blackwell. They're right there. They're maybe a notch below, but they're not to that level. They didn't carry the team. Dekker and Kaminsky did. So I think Boyd and Blackwell are in the conversation for best duo in Badgers history. They're 100% the best backcourt duo ever in Wisconsin Badgers history. It's not a debate.
Yeah, and I love how they are the catalysts behind this. The two catalysts behind what the rally is. And I went back and I was watching the highlights this morning, staying with my parents, and my dad was super excited about this game. And I said this was the big play to me that stuck out was when Nick Boyd, I think they were down 7 at that point. It was like a 59-52 game, and Nick Boyd picked the pocket of Keaton Wagler, and he tried to dive on the ball, and Nick Boyd just went straight for it, was not afraid of any contact whatsoever, and turned on the Jets. And that was, when I was in the press box, I'm like, oh boy. Let me turn my head and watch this. I'm like, Wisconsin's back in it. And it felt like for the longest time yesterday that Wisconsin was always chasing 5 to 7. And then when they got it down to 4, all of a sudden Illinois would come back and hit a 3 and make it a 7-point deficit. I loved the fact that they were able, again, to rally around each other, to be that mature element that Nick Boyd brings into this. And to talk about this on the Carbless Stock and Text line, Ben and Madison, in guard we trust. We have to look at this, is that Nick Boyd is a transfer recruit that Greg Gard brought on, and John Blackwell was a guy 4 years ago, was that Greg Gard and company took a chance on. He wasn't really highly recruited by Division I teams. Wisconsin was his only major Division I offer, and Greg Gard and company took a chance. And what a chance this is, what a move this has been, to put John Blackwell in this spot and to watch him rise to the occasion and be the star that he's being alongside Nick Boyd, who said he wanted to be a part of the Big Ten. I mean, it's just special with what we have. This team, regardless win or lose today, this team is built for a deep run in March.
Yes, and I was reminded of this yesterday, but we need to enjoy the journey. We need to enjoy every game that we get to watch Nick Boyd and John Blackwell, because Nick Boyd's gone for sure. He's graduating. John Blackwell, he might go to the NBA next year. He's definitely not leaving Wisconsin. He's not transferring out. The Badgers will pay him whatever they need to keep him around. But there's a very real possibility he declared last year and then came back after being evaluated that he leaves. So we need to appreciate every time we get to see these guys on the floor, because regardless of if they beat Michigan today, regardless of how far they go in the NCAA tournament, it really feels like this is the year Wisconsin goes to the Sweet 16 and beyond. But regardless of how far and how long this journey is, we need to appreciate it, because these guys are so fun to watch. We are watching a historically good Wisconsin Badgers basketball team and a historically good Badgers backcourt duo. They rock. This team